Hey guys, George at SoundTraxx here, and this week we're going to take a comparison between our decoder and one of our competitors' decoder, and we're going to compare how our dynamic digital exhaust really does elevate the enjoyment and fun compared with the competitor's feature. For lack of a better term, we'll call it locked throttle. So let's get started. Now first off, I want to introduce to you our competitor's decoder. In this Seaboard Coastline Locomotive, we're going to press the F8 button and it's going to start up. So now that we've got the locomotive fired up and running, we're going to press and start moving the locomotive with our throttle. Speed step 1, speed step 2, speed step 3, and you can see it's finally starting to take off moving. Now as I increase the throttle, you hear the prime mover notch up. Now there's two ways of controlling the prime mover for this competitor's locomotive, and one is of course based on the throttle speed that's commanded. The other method is what we're going to call locked throttle, and this is where we press the F9 to lock the speed in. Now we use our throttle to increase the diesel notching. But what's happening is our throttle speed is set to 19, but my locomotive is still creeping along at speed step 7 or 8. So what happens is, let's say for example I'm in a club environment and I'm running my train. Well, if I try to throttle down, as you can see here, my locomotive continues moving because I forgot that my throttle was locked. So now, when I release the throttle lock, you can see that the locomotive comes to a stop because the current commanded speed step is 0. So where this gets to be a little tricky is, let's say you're running around and you just want to change the speed a little bit. Well, let's get moving again at speed step 10. So now our locomotive is moving along at speed step 10. Well, I lock the throttle. I jump up to speed step 20. You hear the prime mover. But let's say I want to be moving now at speed step 15. Well, I have to do one of two things. I either have to unlock my throttle and hope that I get it about the same time that I want for speed step 15, or the more complex and complicated version is now I have to put my throttle back down to 10. You hear my prime mover notch, unlock my throttle, move to speed step 15, and then relock my throttle, and then move my throttle back up to speed step 20. So you can see in practice, it's not a very realistic expectations. Now, one of the other things you've noticed that while the locomotive is running, I'm putting some pressure here on these cars. So let's say I'm simulating going up a grade. Well, my locomotive, the prime mover, is staying exactly the same until I start fiddling with it here on the throttle. So with my speed still locked at 10 or 15, you can hear the prime mover notch up. And again, we're playing our throttle to change the prime mover. Now the reality is this is nothing more than a different way of doing manual notching. So let's shut off the prime mover, and now we're going to turn on our Tsunami2. So I'm going to select my Loco 5392. Now you'll notice that the locomotive has been quiet this whole time. Well, I'm going to press the F5 and get it started up. So now once the locomotive is fired up and ready to go, again, we can move him at speed step 3. Now this is with no momentum, so it did kind of jump to speed step 3. But you're hearing that dynamic changing of the prime mover, and that's what our dynamic digital exhaust does. We're going to put a little pressure here to simulate a load on the train. Listen to that prime mover notch up as it's working harder against my hand. Now when I release, you hear that prime mover drop back down. But the cool thing is we still have a manual override. So I can still press the F5 to notch it up and down, independent of the speed. So I can still use the F5 here, we notch it up. You can hear that. The F6 will bring the throttle back down. And here's the best part. Never once do I lose control of the speed of my locomotive. I can still stop it when I need to. So I don't have to worry about running into somebody else's train because I forgot that my throttle was locked. So this is just a brief example overview of how the dynamic digital exhaust is really beneficial for you and your operators and has helped win us Model Railroaders Reader's Choice Award winner 2 years in a row for favorite sound decoder. So guys, I hope this little trip has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at SoundTraxx.com and we'll be happy to help answer anything we can. Thank you.